of a special airworthiness information bulletin that was released by the US Federal Aviation Authority as far back as 2018, and it mentioned this potential for disengagement of the fuel control switch locking feature. So what we're seeing is that issue was raised previously also as far back as 2018 in the Boeing 7878 was one of the aircrafts in which this potential for disengagement was mentioned. So, how are we looking at this issue that was flagged previously as well, which we saw of course took place in the AI 171 crash as well. Well, Mehendi, I think there are some issues with that connection over there, but I do of course have the report in front of me. If we could please put that up on our screens, and we will take a closer look at what this preliminary investigation suggests. So we're of course seeing over here that the preliminary report states that the FAA, which is the Federal Aviation Authority of the United States, issued a special airworthiness information bulletin on December 17th, 2018 regarding the potential disengagement of the fuel control switch locking feature. Now this this issue of course we're seeing was flagged as far back as 2018, and the SAIB was issued based on a reports from operators of model 737 airplanes that the fuel control switches were installed with the locking feature disengaged. I also have in fact the report being mentioned over here. This is the special airworthiness information bulletin which was issued on December 17th, 2018. And one of the recommendations that the FAA makes regarding this of course is to inspect the locking feature of the fuel control switch to ensure its engagement. While the airplane is on the ground, it is recommended to check whether the fuel control switch can be moved between the two positions without lifting up the switch. So this is the potential for the locking feature being disengaged, which is being talked about. If the switch can be moved without lifting it up, the locking feature has been disengaged and the switch should be replaced at the earliest opportunity. So of course this recommendation was made as far back as 2018 after this issue was flagged in many Boeing aircrafts, is what we are learning. And what we see over here also is that the Boeing 7878, which is the aircraft involved in the Ahemdabad crash, was one of the airplane models where this issue was flagged. So this is of course the details that we are tracking. The biggest takeaway from the report remains that both of the fuel control switches were switched off. They transitioned to cut off shortly after takeoff. Mehendi Garg of course continues to be with us on the broadcast. Mehendi, take us through the details of this bulletin issued by the FAA as far back as 2018, and as we are seeing, this issue was flagged far back as well, this fuel disengagement issue, which led of course the biggest takeaway from the report. It is one of the key reasons behind the AI 171 crash.
Well, rightly mentioned, Malvika, this is one of the major takeaway from the preliminary report that have been issued by the AAIB, that the fuel control engines got switched off from run to cut off. So this is one of the major concerns, that how it happened, why it was not checked, and how it got happened. So indeed it was earlier issue as well, as you also mentioned, that this issue was taken up to the authorities in past also, but now how it happened, because this led to a major and a tragic incident where 240 people lost their lives. So this is indeed one of the major takeaway that as soon as the airplane got into the air and it took off after just a few seconds from maximum we can say that 30 seconds, it the engines were not working, and the fuel issues happened, and the fuel engines switched off from run to cut off. So this is one of the major takeaway from the preliminary report, Malvika. But to mention other points that are mentioned in the report as well, then it is said in the report that no immediate sabotage evidence have been presented, but a known FAA advisory on a possible fuel switch flaw existed, which completely raises questions about the major takeaway also that we are talking about, that how the control switches went from run to cut off within few seconds only. But talking about the favorable conditions, Malvika, it has been mentioned in the report that there were no weather issues, there was no bird activity, and the plane was fit to fly, and the pilots were also fit to fly. So all these positive things have also been mentioned. But if everything was checked, if there was a thorough check on the airplane, on the Air India airplane before taking off, then why and how this such major technical glitch happened is the major question, which will be uncovered in the further investigation, we can hope. Yes, Malvika.
Well, Mehendi, as we noted also that the